skateboard were loud on the old pitted concrete. Janet tracked her with the camera. "You're live, Ginger! Do something!" she shouted, and Ginger complied, popping her board over the knee-high lip of concrete that passed for a safety barrier. Ginger cannonballed into the reservoir, her board following her on the 30-foot drop. Live content gold. Janet made a note to boomerang the first few seconds of airtime and tweeted out when she got home. Kids pushed to the lip of the reservoir, watched the water. The party seemed to hit the pause button as they waited for Ginger to surface. Nobody opened drinks. Nobody talked or laughed. On the shore below, Matt had climbed down to join Cole at the edge of the water. Looking out of place in his security guard shirt and swim trunks, Matt had his phone out. It was a big Samsung Galaxy that used to be his mom's. Mom hand-me-downs? Yuck. Janet shivered. Not that she was rich like Cole, but at least she didn't have to live in constant fear of her battery overheating and exploding. Dudes? They were still waiting for Ginger. She had been holding her breath for a long time. Matt yelled up, "If she drowns, I get to keep the body." Janet wasn't even sure what he meant, but assumed he was being disgusting. Even though he was the guy who let them into the reservoir to party, Matt was a fucking dick. And Janet knew she wasn't the only person who thought that. They waited. Janet could feel her own lungs begin to strain. She didn't even realize she'd been holding her breath. But then Ginger's head broke the surface of the water. She was waving her bikini top. "Impact knocked it right off. Come on in," she said. "Water's warm." Kids didn't need any more of an invitation. The dam of propriety broke, and everyone rushed for the water. Some climbed down to the shore, while some took the more direct route of a high dive. Fuck, who are all these people? Janet recognized most of the kids from their year, knew all the juniors. A few more of the faces she knew, but not the names. Some she recognized as seniors of little note. A handful were older kids who'd graduated but hadn't gone off to college for one reason or another. The older kids made Janet a little uneasy, but then they were probably where most of the beer came from. No, the older creeps weren't what was really troubling her. There are underclassmen here. Janet felt the back of her neck prickle with indignation. She looked at the young faces, singling them out by the way they sipped their beers. They'd be taught a lesson later. Maybe she'd encourage Tucker to get them drunk and then abandon them out by Tillerson's field. Every year, some drunk frosh wound up knocking on the Tillerson's front door to use their phone because no one could get a cell signal out there, and the little punks needed to call Mom for a ride home. So why not a whole bunch of them, dropped directly from the reservoir? No, it wasn't just the trespassing freshmen pissing her off either. It wasn't like she'd remember tomorrow to launch a full investigation. But Janet was annoyed that someone in their group had open-invited everyone. Tonight should have been their night. Just the 6 of them. 7 if you counted Victoria. Janet didn't. This trip to the reservoir was meant to be for just them. "Give me that," Janet said, swiping a beer from a terrified-looking first year. "We can't be drinking on camera, dickhead." She drained the half beer and tossed the empty can over her shoulder. The boy watched, something like admiration, infatuation, creeping onto his face. Janet shoved him and told him to fuck off. It made her feel better. "Yo, Janet!" Cole called up. He was halfway up the stairs. "Ready to try the backflip again?" He made a start rolling motion with one finger. Oh yeah, she still had his phone. She didn't even remember ending the feed. That wasn't good. She hit the button to reconnect. There was a hazy moment of the phone fighting for a connection, then the 5-second countdown. "Look out below!" Tucker Lee yelled as he ran into frame with a lit M80 in hand. "What the fuck?